Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn, CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman. For those of you who can't watch us on TV, Vern just keeps pointing at the camera. I love that.
That's right.
At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question, and today is Super Bowl losers.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if you guys know that. Let's see.
I'm going to pick Bills. I'm going to pick the Bills.
No, yeah.
Just because that gives me at least four chances to be right.
No, the Bills are not these questions. And usually you like to come up with a couple of trivia ones. You have anything for us today?
Nothing immediately, but maybe something
right.
will come to mind.
Hey, did you guys hear about in Southern California, a couple of teams kind of went rogue and decided to play against each other? And sort of like it was kind of under the radar.
What sport?
Football.
Oh.
And it was kind of like, I guess in Southern California, they're sort of putting the kibosh on teams playing. But, professionals do it, and I guess they get tested. I guess maybe it's too much of a hassle for high school. But
high school teams.
Yeah. It seems like it kind of sprung people on surprises. It's sort of like this underground, sort of like Fight Club, right? You just don't talk about Fight Club, you just do it.
I didn't hear anything about that, but it could not have been sanctioned by CIF.
No, it was not.
So this was like a couple of club teams getting together for a little scrimmage.
That's what they call it, a scrimmage.
Kids will be kids.
Yeah, so it'll be kind of interesting to see what ends up happening with those guys there. Hey, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments currently yielding 7.5%, secured with real estate. It doesn't get any more conservative than them. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us. When we come back, I want to talk about James Harden. How many millions is he going to be paying because he moved from a state that doesn't have income taxes to one that has more than enough to cover? All right? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. So James Harden moving to the Nets, coming from Houston, which is in Texas, which does not have a state income tax. Someone figured out he's going to be paying $13 million more in income taxes because of the trade. But it's interesting because, I don't know how many millions he's already made. And
yeah, I wish I could feel sorry for him, but there's absolutely not even a scintilla of sympathy.
Well, yeah, I don't feel sorry for him, but it's sort of like, I don't want to win the lottery because
this was what he wanted. He made this demand. He said he wanted to go to the Nets. So, he should be, buying Durant and Kyrie Irving should be buying them a Ferrari every couple of weeks.
Well, he should have applied. He should have done like what Amazon and some of those big companies do before they go into a place. They negotiate for a tax break. He should have done that with New Jersey before, or Brooklyn.
They are not going to give him a tax break.
Hey, I'll come to Brooklyn, but you got to give me some tax breaks.
They need that money.
But speaking of taxes, though, don't these players don't they have to pay taxes in every state they play a game?
True, but it kind of it depends on the state, on how they do the formula. California is bad, which I got to figure New York is the same way. But of course, at their millions, they're already at the top bracket, so it doesn't matter. But they take a proportion, and just for kind of I'm not going to act as anybody's tax counsel here, so please, I'll put that as a caveat. But generally speaking, for the average Joe who makes, let's just say, $100,000, but makes it over a few states, what California does is they say, well, let's assume you make the whole 100,000 in California. So, hey, you're at the highest tax bracket. And then we'll say, but you only earned, 10% of that. And so now you'll pay a certain 10% of the tax. In other words, rather than just going, well, I only made $10,000 in California, what are the taxes on 10,000? 0. Versus going, no, the taxes on 100,000 might be, 30,000, let's say. I'm just picking just numbers out of a hat here. 30,000. Well, actually, California would be, let's say, 12,000, right? 12,000, and you go to 10% of that is 1,200. So it's what they do is they look at what's the top tax bracket you could potentially be in, and then say, okay, now how much did you earn of that in the state? What proportion? Does that make sense? It's a progressive path.
Based on what you just said in the last, I don't know, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
How many league players do you think toss and turn and lie in bed and crunch those numbers just like you did?
Honestly,
None.
probably none.
No. You know what they do? They pick up a phone like this. They call their tax guy and they go, figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it.
That's true. Well, and here's the funny thing: you get somebody like James Harden, who he makes so much money that even if you were to say, oh, he only earned 10% of $5 million, he makes more than that, he'd still be at the top bracket. So what I just said really is for the average Joe, not for the super wealthy athletes. They basically would be paying at the highest bracket anyway, and then they take the proportion.
And again, he demanded this, so it's not as if this was something that he knew that there wouldn't be consequences from it. I mean, he was in Texas. It just shows that it's not really about the money because, he was miserable in Texas. He was miserable in Houston in these last couple months, and he did everything to sabotage his ability to stay there. And, now he's with the Nets, and they're the odds-on East Conference favorite. I think that'll earn you more money than any tax implications.
And they just passed their first true test because they played and they beat the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, and you watch Harden, and he looked a little bit more like a team player rather than I know he definitely takes a lot of shots, but behind the back passes, and there's a lot of passes rather than him just give him the ball and just watch him score.
Well, 3 years ago, remember, he was averaging close to a triple-double every game along with Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
So he has the ability to get 10 assists per game if he, focuses on it. And Kyrie Irving isn't a really great ball handling guard. And Durant, is a good ball handler too, but he's always been sort of a secondary ball handler working, either with Steph Curry or when he was with Russell Westbrook.
And when they were all on Oklahoma City, the Thunder together, wasn't there a little tension between Harden and Durant?
Not as far as I knew.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
Harden was truly a bench player. I mean, he was truly, a supplemental player, and it was really Westbrook and Durant's team, for the most part. He was the third out of the big three, and now it's arguable that he's the number one out of the big three.
In the small sample size, I mean, it's working. The other night, Durant had 30 points in the game, and Harden had 34 points in the game in the win.
We're not talking about the game of the year, which was last night. The NBA game of the year.
I always talk in terms as if this show was on Saturday, which is when it actually is.
The game of the year was last night with the Warriors.
beating
the Lakers down 19, and they turned it around and managed to get a couple-point win over the Lakers in LA. And for a Warriors fan, I haven't been excited about a game like this in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
how many fans were there? Yeah. So, I mean, okay.
At home, there were plenty.
That's right. A wide audience.
Yes. And that was a great game. That was really Draymond coming back to what made him, part of 3 championship teams. Instead of just sitting there on the perimeter trying to pass the ball, he actually took the ball in his own hands and shot it. And I still feel that when Draymond Green is hitting his 3-point shot, the Warriors are close to being an unbeatable team as you can get in the NBA. The problem is he's only shooting 20% from 3. So,
they'll give him that shot.
Yeah.
And if you can make them now, then take it. I'd rather see Draymond shooting those than Oubre at this point.
All he has to do is shoot more than 34% in order for it to be the equivalent of a 50% shooter from non-3 from a 2-point shot. Right?
Yeah, but in that game, my big takeaway from that game, aside from the victory, the number of assists that were in that game, they were when the Warriors play a game and they get more than 30 assists in a game, usually they win. And they had 31 assists in that game.
They should. Yeah, no, it was a lot more distribution, and really you saw the high pick and roll being done by Draymond and Steph. And that is one of their true formulas for success that they've had over the years. And they went away from it, especially when Clay got hurt.
Yeah, and the support players, they were doing not so bad. Damian Lee and Pascal and Kelly Oubre, they kind of came up a little bit, didn't they?
I like Eric Pascal. I mean, he does the dirty work inside. And and when you're playing the Lakers, you're going to be out rebounded, down low. But they do just enough, to just give the guards some open looks, kind of draw in, pick, pop, whatever, and just it did work in that victory over the Lakers. Again, just one win, but it was a big one.
Okay, guys, first commercial break here. We're talking Super Bowl losers. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers had 4 Super Bowl seasons in the 1970s. They defeated the Vikings in Super Bowl 9. Then I'm looking at the I got to do the XI thing, right? And then the Cowboys in 10 and 13. But who was Pittsburgh's 4th victim?
Oh, I remember this one because it was the first Super Bowl I didn't watch.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was so furious about their opponent being in the Super Bowl that I boycotted it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the dead giveaway.
That's not
right
a
there.
true football fan. Come on.
I was about 10 when that happened, 11 when that happened. So.
Oh, well, okay. Then I'll give you a pass on that one. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. First trivia question about Super Bowl losers. Pittsburgh Steelers had 4 Super Bowl seasons in the 1970s. They defeated the Vikings, the Cowboys twice, but who was Pittsburgh's 4th victim?
Oh, poor Vince Ferragamo.
Vince Ferragamo, that's right.
We'll never live it down with the Rams.
For the LA Rams, yes.
No, I've only boycotted 3 Super Bowls. That one I was furious because I couldn't believe the Rams were in it. I just disgusted me. Plus, I was kind of sick of watching Pittsburgh winning Super Bowls. Yeah. Second one that I missed was the Giants versus the Bills, because I couldn't have been more bitter about Roger Craig's fumble.
Oh, yeah.
Expecting the 49ers to be the first team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
And when we didn't get it, I just had no heart to watch another football game. And the third one was the second Bills-Dallas Super Bowl, which I knew it would be a disaster. And the question was, where do you go when you don't want to watch a Super Bowl? So, yeah. For the Giants Bills one, I went to a gym and worked out, but it was on the TV, so I put my radio on my speakers on and picked all the workout machines that were nowhere near the TV. So
that must have been an empty gym.
Yeah, I actually there were a number of people there. I went on like an exercise bike that was nowhere near the TV and just did that. And for the Dallas Bills second one,
you know what though, you could have been in a lot better graces with your wife if you would have said, you know what, sweetie, I'm going to miss the Super Bowl just so you and I can go shopping and I can tell you how pretty you look in those dresses.
Single back then. That's way before I was married. And then the second Bills Dallas game, I went to Rossmore where my grandmother lived. And in Walnut Creek, and everyone there is over 80, and none of them cared about the Bills game.
Okay, then you get to impress your grandma. Say, yes. Grandma, instead of watching the Super Bowl, I'm here visiting with you. Exactly. How good a grandson am I? Oh, by the way, can we take a look at that will again? I just want to
oh, geez.
Think about birthday presents. My birthday's coming up in 6 months.
Jesus Christ, well, speaking of the Bills, as you were before, now how do you like these fans? They raised money for Lamar Jackson's favorite charity after eliminating the Ravens. If you remember, giving Lamar a concussion. And then isn't that kind of sweet? I'm
sure that made all the difference to Lamar.
Yeah, right.
Probably. it was,
Not.
I don't know. I mean, you have to ask him, but it's kind of a sweet gesture, don't you think? I don't think they're
Why
rubbing it in his
can't
face.
Lamar afford to buy himself? Is I guess a good question.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I just taking the high road on this and thinking, that they're saying, hey, you know what? Listen, you put up a good fight. We're sorry that you got knocked out. Knocked out of the game with a concussion. But hey, let's all.
I don't think
Let's do
Lamar wants
kumbaya.
anything other than a trophy, than a Lombardi trophy. I think
Well,
that's.
we'd have to ask him and see and get his feelings on that.
I think that's the only gift that he really, really would appreciate, and that right now is more in the Bills' hands than it is Lamar's hands.
That's true. And I want to ask you guys, what do you think about that touchback rule that messed the Browns up? The idea.
I've seen it before.
Oh,
yeah,
a few times.
Yeah, just one I'll say. You fumble into the end zone and it goes out.
How can you do it otherwise?
Touchback.
Well, okay, so if you are playing, before the end zone and you fumble out of bounds on the one, it goes on the one.
Yeah, because it's not on the one.
Yeah. So why is there that much of a penalty? Because even then, they're not giving the team, the opposing team, the ball on the 1 yard line. It goes back to the 20, right? The 25.
Yeah, because
but the ball was fumbled into the end zone.
Oh, I understand the rule. I'm just saying that it just sort of seems like it's an extra punishment, especially.
Don't drop the ball.
Well,
yeah,
okay, especially because he got speared. Which that's the sort of thing that how about a challenge flag on? Hey, I want to look at this because
that was just I hear you there. I mean that was kind of a. That was kind of a bang bang, so to speak, real time. I mean, the refs just missed that one, but just the way it went out.
I don't blame them for missing it because like you said, it just bang bang. It didn't look like too much of a helmet to helmet. It's not like his head went drawing backward.
And to be honest with you, I was following the ball when it happened, and when I saw the ball go in and then out, I was like, I felt bad.
Well,
hey,
me too.
Another Cleveland fumble that cost them the shot.
That was the game difference score wise, So, but what about being able to throw a challenge flag on a missed call like that? Why can't we?
It's not reviewable, right? Wasn't that the other thing? It's not reviewable.
Yeah. So I mean, why not? Why can't you? If you're only going to have 2 challenge flags, right? Unless you keep winning. Then why can't you use it for like any play that you think should have been reviewed?
Yeah, but if it's not reviewable, if it's not reviewable, then what do you?
No, I'm saying why don't
we just went through that whole thing with pass interference, being reviewable and then not reviewable because it was a huge mess. That's why you don't want to say anything can be reviewable because that winds up being a mess.
Well, but the thing is, again, you whatever the call on the field, unless it's blatantly different, then you can change it, right? So I mean, they could have looked, and they could have, let's say, thrown a challenge flag on that, looked at the play and go, yeah, but nah, it's not clear enough. Okay, well at least you've had your shot at it.
But I think that we're going the other way. I think that we're going to start seeing fewer calls being reviewable because of the time and the inaccuracy of even under review. I mean, how
about putting a time limit on it? We'll give you.
I thought there was one, and it doesn't seem like they adhere to it.
The egregious one to me was a few years ago in the NFC Championship game with the Saints, and the blatant pass interference that just was not called. I mean, everybody saw it, and still,
except Ram fans somehow.
Yeah.
Ram fans somehow didn't see that, but the rest of us did. But then they brought up pass interference as something to be reviewed, and then we got rid of it because it just became unmanageable. You don't want a challenge flag thrown every single play. I mean, I know they only limit it to 2.
Well, that's the thing. And if you're wrong, I mean, you got to really make a decision as to whether you really want to challenge something. Because I think there was some decision to challenge something in this last weekend that was like, how can you challenge? I mean, it was just ridiculous to try to challenge. I think it was a catch. And it's like, really? I mean, it was clear that it was a catch. Mm-hmm. And don't they have
for a second I thought you said it was a cat because I remember the cat being on the field.
No. A catch.
Yes.
And don't they have? I mean, maybe the head coach isn't allowed to look at it, but he hears from, "Hey guys, we looked at that play. Go ahead and challenge it, or don't challenge it." I mean, I don't know how much time they have, but sometimes you look and you go, "Oh my God, why are they challenging that? That's ridiculous. It was obviously a catch, not a cat, but a catch."
Remember the cat going on the field though? It was a couple seasons ago. I think it was on the Jets. I think the cat ran on the field and they had to chase it down.
Oh, that's
Well,
right.
the old joke is, oh, it was a Jet game? No, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Nor did the Jets, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, but now Mr. Sele is how do you pronounce it? Sala?
Robert Saleh.
Sala. Looks like it's
Saleh.
okay. So he's going to the Jets and taking a few people with him, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's not done. I think
He's got, he took Matt LaFleur's little brother, Mike. He's going to be the new offensive coordinator, and he's not done there. I mean, Saleh's a smart guy. He's going to surround himself with some decision makers offensively to really kind of strike, and then just go in and try and fix Sam Darnold. And if I know Saleh, he's going to take those first 2 draft picks and probably improve the defense.
Yeah,
so, isn't there
it's a lot of salary. They have a lot of salary cap to work with.
Yeah.
Weren't they? Wasn't there some grumblings or rumblings that may try to trade Garoppolo for
Darnold? That might be a possibility, And
I mean, I think it'd be great for us here on the West Coast.
There are a number of free agents that the Niners have that, like Juszczyk, Saleh may also, decide to bring over too.
But you know what?
You can't just take.
We'll never know. We'll never know until draft day hits or whatever, and then those deals are made.
Yeah. How many guys is Saleh taking with him from the Niners?
Probably.
Right now, I think he's got 4.
Yeah, three or four staff guys. But I mean, we're talking about a staff of like almost 30 people. I mean, they're not going to be. I mean, the Niners are going to be hurt that bad. I mean, they're already filled the defensive coordinator, and they just continue to just roll along from there.
All right, guys, ready for our second trivia question on Super Bowl losers? And so far, you guys are 1 for 1. I like it.
I am.
Yes, you are. I'm sure Vern knew that one too. All right, let's see here. Super Bowl 33, played in January 1999, saw this team make their first Super Bowl appearance in the history of their franchise. They would go on to lose to John Elway and the Broncos 34-19. Which team was it that went 14-2 in the regular season? And then they lost to yeah. Vern knows this one too. I figured I had to give you this week. We had to give you some softball questions.
Okay, all right.
Softball questions, all right? Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We will be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, Vern Glenn, Russell Jackman here on Zoom. Okay, second trivia question. Super Bowl 33, played in January 1999, saw this team make their first Super Bowl appearance in the history of their franchise. They would go on to lose to John Elway and the Broncos 34-19. Which team was it that had gone 14-2 in the regular season, but then lost in the Super Bowl?
I believe that would be the Atlanta Falcons.
That would be the Atlanta Falcons. And
yep. Denny Green, the head coach, I believe.
Yeah.
That was right after Jamal Anderson got a street named after him. In Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
That was the big Dirty Bird year. Was that correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's funny.
So that would have been Dan Reeves, I believe, as the head coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Jamal Anderson. That's so funny because as soon as you mentioned that, so when the Bears beat the Patriots in 1985 or 86, I was in Vegas. And when we were flying home from the Super Bowl, there were a couple of 49er players, and then I was sitting. For some reason we got a first class ticket, no big deal, going from Vegas back to San Francisco. But we're sitting, and I'm looking at the guy right to my right, and I'm going, and this guy's a big guy. I go, he's got to be a football, but he's just kind of keeping to himself, And I said, I'm sorry, I've got to ask you. I go, you kind of look like a football player. Can I ask who you are? And it was Jamal Anderson.
There you go.
Wow.
I go, yeah, I've heard of you. You know?
Yeah.
Yes,
My,
because
my,
Vern, for those of us who don't meet athletes on an everyday basis, it's a big deal to run into an athlete.
yeah. Well, it was funny because my classmate, who was just kind of, we weren't really friends at the time, just were acquaintances, was a wide receiver for the Falcons at the same time. And so it was kind of, sort of nice to kind of, oh yeah, hey, tell Stacy I said hello, which is kind of funny because this guy, I mean, can you imagine being a wide receiver and weighing 175 pounds in the NFL? This guy hardly ever went down the middle. I mean, he was very fast. And yeah, his claim to fame was the guy who tipped the ball from Steve Bartkowski against the Niners to Billy White Shoes Johnson, who evaded about 3 tacklers. And they had him tip the ball because he probably, I mean, with a 48-inch vertical leap and being, 6'3" or whatever he was, yeah, he had he could definitely outjump most people. So that was kind of if you ever look at that play, that's kind of a fun one to watch for exciting football. So Steve Bartkowski to Billy White Shoes Johnson, Atlanta Falcons against the Niners. It was very frustrating as a 49er fan though, because that was the last play of the game to lose it. You remember that one?
Was that in Candlestick Park?
I believe it was.
I think I may have been there for that game.
For that
I
one?
think I actually saw that game in person, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I remember
that was
Jack
that one.
from the game being super sore and super mad that the
Yeah.
49ers lost.
Well, especially
My dad used to say, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, that's right. I guess what's so frustrating as a 49er fan is it's like he evades 3 tacklers right there to get the touchdown. But I love Billy
That's the way
White.
the Niners used to be.
Yeah, that's true. Last thing I have here is Duke, Kentucky, and North Carolina are all outside of the top 25 for the first time since 1961.
What does that tell you about the parity of college basketball, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
And the
I
college
love it.
basketball season's a mess. It's worse than the college football season.
It's a mess. I agree with you, but at the same time, the trend has been ever increasingly turning for these gifted high school athletes that want to play right away in college. They don't want to sit around and wait. And so some of these better players are saying no to some of these other programs. We got to wait, and they'd rather play for, say, Gonzaga or a school like that where they can kind of contribute right away.
So it's like being a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. If I can get 20 touches a game as a freshman, as opposed to having to wait till my sophomore year before I can really kind of get in the mix, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Why not?
That'll be
And,
great.
the elimination of fans really creates a huge equalizing effect on these big programs. I mean, they normally, like a place like Duke, trying to play in Duke is almost impossible because the college fans are so rabid there.
Yeah.
When you take them away and suddenly it's a neutral environment, Duke's not as impressive.
Especially when you're trying to shoot free throws and people, have all those kinds of crazy
Absolutely.
things.
There's no curtain of distraction. There's none of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting though. I wonder if Krzyzewski and all those guys are going to kind of think about this and say, you know what, maybe we got to promise some of these freshmen, if they're really superstars that we think they're going to be superstars, you got to give them a little bit more playing time for that reason. It may take a while though for them to wake up to that.
I don't know.
I think they're just going to hold their breath and hope that COVID goes away soon and that everyone gets vaccinated. And
yeah, but even then, how does that affect what Vern was saying about, let's say, Gonzaga getting players who it's like, hey, listen, you come play for me, you'll get to play a lot, even as a freshman.
Well, yeah, I think that's a big incentive. But I think once they can bring fans back, I think we'll see the dynamic change for the bigger schools and the ones that have really solid fans.
The home team advantage will help, sure.
Yeah, I think it's been a big disadvantage. And again, it didn't really affect college football as much, but I think it's affecting college basketball quite a bit.
Oh, you got a smaller arena and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
because you got to figure if you're any of these college coaches, I mean, they're making millions, and their job's on the line. If they, they get these boosters, right? The alumni are going, "Why are we paying you $5 million a year to coach this team, and you're not even in the top 25?" Okay, interesting.
Hey,
So what do we have? We have this coming Sunday for football, and then a week off, and then the Super Bowl.
That's right. So having said that, what do you guys think of these matchups? Because these two games, these are rematches of NFL Week 6, and back in Week 6, Tampa Bay was the host team. So and they just throttled the Green Bay Packers. It was the Packers' worst game of the season and the Buccaneers' best game of the season. Now the scene shifts to frigid Green Bay, which is the number 1 seed. And then the AFC, you've got the Bills, who are playing the Kansas City Chiefs, but this game is in Kansas City. In Week 6, the game was in Buffalo. Chiefs won that game, but maybe Patrick Mahomes, maybe not. Concussion protocol.
Yeah, good point.
It's
the line is really.
It's the 4 smallest markets that the NFL has, all playing against each other for the possible Super Bowl. I mean, any way you look at it, it could be a ratings disaster for the NFL. Tampa isn't a huge market. Green Bay isn't a huge market. Buffalo is not a huge market.
Well, but I mean,
no, but it's loaded with star appeal, and that wins out.
I mean, you're only going to get so many fans in general anyway, but you're going to get everybody in the country watching the game.
Everybody will be at home watching. Exactly.
I was watching Mahomes. That concussion. I get it looked like his face mask hit the ground. I guess that's probably what jarred him. It's usually in a concussion, the back of your head hits or you get slammed sideways. But this one didn't. It must have been something else.
Well, how many slow-mo replays of it did you see? I mean, it's one thing to see it in slow-mo. It's another thing for it to happen in real time, effectively with a guy's arm like wrapped around your neck trying to slam you down. So we don't know. But
I'm not making any judgment calls.
When they tried to get up. I mean, he couldn't even get up.
I know.
Without help.
It just didn't. Again, from what even seeing it in real time, it just there must have been something else going on. It wasn't as clear. Again, I'm not.
But I'm still betting that Mahomes plays on Sunday. That the NFL, my friend and I said, my friend said that the NFL will be putting their finger on the scale to make sure that Mahomes can play on Sunday.
Yeah, Chad Henne, he was terrific when he needed to be, but Chad.
Yeah.
Suddenly,
we're going to bring in number 15 now.
That's right.
Yeah, magical concussion pills.
That's right.
Exactly.
The way that you got over COVID, the same way they're going to have Mahomes get over his concussion.
But the Bills are tough, man. This Bills Mafia, this is like a thing.
Josh Allen. He's a
Jared
man.
Allen and Watkins and those guys. I mean, they got weapons, man, and they got a great defense.
I'm rooting for an Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would be good. We might have a repeat of Super Bowl I, though. Might just have that.
Against City, against Green Bay.
Against Green Bay?
Yeah.
Could happen.
Could happen. Well, we only have so many choices, right? But Lamar Jackson's back up. When he got knocked out of the game, was he a rookie or is just?
He was the rookie out of UNLV or whatever. He was. That first scramble, he looked like a little Lamar Jackson clone. Almost ran 30 yards to pick up the first down.
Running for his life,
Yeah.
Yeah, holy smokes. Tom Brady's how old? 43?
And he still played every single game this season.
Pretty amazing. How old is Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers got to be late 30s.
Late 30s?
Yeah, a couple of years younger.
Okay.
And it's amazing that, Aaron Rodgers also played pretty much every game every down this season as well.
Yeah, he's going to be the MVP, I believe. That's my pick.
And
the great thing about Aaron Rodgers, for as long as I've known him, he's always been the same guy. He's just this super confident yet extremely smart, kind of I don't want to say a humble guy, but he's a guy that kind of like looks at the big picture, looks at the picture, can analyze it and just break it down. I mean, he is kind of a football savant in a low key way fashion.
And you see, like, on the one side, these quarterbacks that are, getting towards their twilight years, with, Ben Roethlisberger, with Drew Brees, with Aaron Rodgers, with Tom Brady. And on the other side, you have all these young upstarts with Mahomes, with Josh Allen. We're seeing kind of the old guard having their maybe last, run at it versus the new guard, and the younger quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, another example of the younger ones. So we're kind of seeing the clash of the generations headed towards each other. And
speaking of old guard, my big takeaway from that Saints Buccaneers game, hours after the game, there was a shot of Tom Brady with Drew Brees, and both their kids were on the field running around, and Tom Brady throwing a pass to Drew Brees' kids in the end zone. I thought that was pretty cool.
How old are the kids?
They're young. They're 10, 12 maybe, something like that. But because this could be it for Drew Brees. It's not official, but that might have been his last game as an NFL player.
That's true. Okay, third trivia question. Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens came to play in Super Bowl 35. They totally shut down their opponents, not allowing an offensive touchdown, allowing only 66 yards, rushing yards, 86 from the air, and defeating their opponent 34-7. Who was the Ravens' puppet in this Super Bowl? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here for the last time for today, and Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Third trivia question. Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens came to play in Super Bowl 35, totally shutting down their opponents, not allowing an offensive touchdown, allowing only 66 yards rushing, 86 yards from the air, and defeating their opponent 34-7. Who was the Ravens' puppet in the Super Bowl? Mr. Jackman.
I didn't know. I'm so used to having I'm still not over the 49ers losing to Baltimore in the Super Bowl, but that was the second one. You're talking about their first.
Yeah, this is the year 2000. Those great Ravens teams with Shannon Sharp and just such a dominant.
Ray Lewis,
just a dominant force.
Vern, who was it? That's funny because this was the one Super Bowl I didn't watch. What's that?
I have the team in my head. I just had a brain fart just now.
The New York Giants.
Oh,
the New York Giants. It's not funny. I said, well, this was actually the one I didn't watch. I think because my kids were little and we were just sort of, for some reason this Super Bowl just didn't interest me.
It wasn't much of a game from the jump.
I picked the right one to not do it. Okay, guys.
Trent Dilfer, we'll never forget it though.
Trent Dilfer, that's right. The pride of Aptos High School.
And the proof that you can be a game manager and still win a Super Bowl.
That is true.
Okay, you guys ready? Now today we have puns for the day instead of thoughts for the day. So I burned my batter this morning. It tasted waffle.
Oh,
and I knew
that's a dad joke.
I was going to be a baseball joke. I thought it was
and I was trying to daydream, but my mind kept wandering. Okay, there you go.
Nice.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective, also asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios, America.
Good night, America.
So long.